My friends, look at the level of the knife fight that just broke out in the deepest backrooms of the Pentagon and that the legacy media outlets are trying to hide from you. The gap between the air-conditioned generals in Washington and the soldiers who do the heavy lifting in the mud has reached the breaking point. The US Congress just slapped the top command of the Air Force in the face. Through an emergency law, the representatives blocked the retirement of the most feared, brutal, and beloved meat grinder machine on the planet, the A-10 Warthog. What you'll understand today is that this decision isn't out of museum nostalgia. It's the practical recognition that when things get tough on the front lines, armchair technology failed and the old titanium monster had to come back to save the day. The real one. It's not that it's raw, it's that the Air Force has spent the last 20 years trying to throw the Warthog in the trash. The plan was to tear up the doctrine of close air support, swearing that the billion-dollar stealth jets could handle the job alone. But it didn't work. With things heating up in the Middle East and Iran's boats trying to close the Strait of Hormuz, the United States found out that the modern replacement can't handle the pressure on its own. Things got serious and the truce went up in smoke, and Congress had to intervene by law to ensure that the fighter jet, which refuses to die, keeps soaring through the skies and protecting the lives of soldiers on the front lines. But to understand the importance of this machine, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video. It takes a lot of work to make it. So you can't look at the A-10 as just an ordinary plane. Well, it's a tank with wings. Built entirely around an extermination weapon, the 30mm GAU-8 Avenger rotary cannon, this beast was made with a logic that today's engineering can no longer replicate, to take a beating and keep on fighting. The pilot flies inside a bathtub of armored titanium, resistant to heavy artillery fire. If the electronic systems go out, it has mechanical steel cables so the pilot can control the stick manually. It was designed to have its wings riddled with bullets, lose half its tail, keep flying, and unleash a storm of fire on the enemy's head. Now, stop and think with me. If the latest generation of invisible high-tech jets were the perfect answer for every 21st century war, why did the Central Command have to rush squadrons of A-10s to the Persian Gulf in the early morning of May 9th? The answer exposes the bureaucrats' bluff. The modern 5th-generation fighter looks great on paper, but it was made to fly high, dropping a smart bomb from miles away. It doesn't have the armor to go down into the eye of the storm and can't spend hours orbiting above Allied troops, providing close air support right on the ground. The Air Force even tried to force the retirement of the beast by cutting maintenance from the factory in Utah in February and shutting down the training squadrons in Arizona in April, but reality took its toll with interest. The disappearance of the Warthog created a gap in defense that Congress had to close on the fly, because the soldiers on the ground know that when hell breaks loose, the sound of that cannon is the only thing that separates life from death. The attempt to kill the A-10 program was a shameful financial and logistical miscalculation. The suits at the Pentagon swore that keeping a 40-year-old dinosaur flying was too expensive and that all the money should go to 5th and 6th generation electronic fighters. They forgot that in a war of attrition and saturation, the cost per flight hour and the amount of lead the A-10 Warthog puts down are unbeatable. Sending an ultra-modern stealth jet to hunt down militia pickup trucks or light artillery positions in the desert, it's the equivalent of using a diamond scalpel to chop firewood in your backyard. It's wasting public money while the base burns. When it came to the real combat of Operation Epic Fury, the theory fell apart. Secret reports that ended up on the desk of Congress revealed what happened when 2 F-15E fighter pilots were shot down near Iranian territory. It wasn't the aircraft full of digital sensors that cleared the area. It was the good old A-10 Warthog who dove straight into the danger zone, let the 30mm cannon roar, and created a wall of fire that paralyzed the enemy's search teams. The beast cleared the routes and ensured safety against Iran's fast boats in the Strait of Hormuz. He proved that low-altitude raw steel is still the only tool that truly imposes fear at maritime choke points. Now stop and think with me. What's the point of the plane having the fastest computers in the world if it can't stay in the combat zone because it ran out of fuel or because the fuel truck supply line on the ground was destroyed by drones? The big twist is that the A-10C isn't just surviving, it's undergoing a bionic upgrade to fight in the era of abundance. To give the jet the autonomy it needs to patrol the vast distances of the Indo-Pacific or the Gulf, the mechanics installed a brutal modification right on the runway. A rapid refueling probe welded onto the front of the plane. It looks ugly, horrible, but it works. Images from May 2026 caught the Warthog refueling in midair from an HC-130J Combat King II right in the middle of the conflict zone. This pushes the fighter's endurance to levels that challenge the physical limits of the pilot's body without needing to stop at forward airstrips that the enemy monitors by satellite. The modernization forced by Congress ripped out the old panel and turned the A-10's cockpit into an electronic warfare command center. The new law injects money to install state-of-the-art sensors, digital communicators, and systems that launch decoys to leave enemy anti-aircraft battery radars completely blind. The Warthog now carries long-range precision missiles to destroy protected targets without having to enter the enemy's line of sight. The analog monster has learned to speak the language of satellite networks, combining the punch of its heavy cannon with cutting-edge digital intelligence. No one on Luciano Huck's Globo show will say that, but the A-10's survival plan includes a testing lab that will change the concept of artificial intelligence on the front lines. Congress determined that while the flesh and blood pilot does the heavy lifting, by 2030, a batch of Warthogs will be used as motherships to test swarms of autonomous drones made by tech companies funded by venture capital. The Pentagon's ultimate goal isn't to make another plane like this, it's to create a distributed system where the A-10's mission will be inherited by highly survivable disposable robots. Stop and think, what will the enemy army do when close air support is delivered by clouds of cheap drones attacking in sync with no American pilot at risk of becoming a hostage or a corpse on TV? The engineering of the future, which is being tested under the wings of the A-10, is the CCAS program. The Collaborative Combat Aircraft. We're talking about attack drones with artificial intelligence like the XQ-58 Valkyrie, which can spit out mini hunter drones from their internal compartments in the middle of flight. These networks of disposable drones keep their eyes fixed on the battlefield, relay target coordinates in microseconds through digital networks, and strike tanks and artillery with surgical precision. The brain and the final decision to pull the trigger still remain in the hands of a qualified military aviator in the rear. But the dirty work of taking fire from anti-aircraft defenses is transferred to Silicon. The A-10 is the bridge that's taking war from the era of pilots to the era of algorithms. The Congress's plan to evaluate the fate of the A-10s after their retirement in 2030 destroys the rumors that internet nerds spread around. The contractual data and logistics close the door to any chance of the US Army or Marines inheriting the used Warthogs. The Army agreed decades ago not to operate fixed-wing attack aircraft, and the Marines are retiring their own. A battle-launched aircraft is necessary. Standardized around the F-35 Invisible. They don't have the money or mechanics to support a completely different and analog platform within their structure. The real game board for this surviving fleet points to the external market of military alliances. And then, my friends, is Brazil in line? I think it's hard with this government. The new law paves the way for the 63 jets from the final inventory, with the units kept active at the bases in Georgia and in reserve in Missouri to be donated to partner countries, who are with their backs against the wall facing invasions from neighboring dictatorships. Allies like Jordan, Colombia, and Ukraine itself have already made it clear that they want the A-Warthogs no matter what. For these nations, the A-10C is a flying cleaver capable of crushing columns of invading armored vehicles and sweeping trenches in scenarios where control of the skies is fought for inch by inch. The A-Warthog It will leave the scene in the United States to continue spreading terror on other borders of the map. My friends, the truth has a strength that no office bureaucracy can weaken. And the return of the A-Warthog to the heart of global defense proved that the laws of brute force on Earth do not tolerate disrespect from a spreadsheet. The law passed in the United States House of Representatives put a halt to the U.S. Air Force's rush and ensured that the knowledge of qualities gained from 40 years of combat would be preserved to help design the weapons of tomorrow. The active squadrons will continue operating until the transition to drone swarms and the new F-15X fighters is validated in real combat. The story of the Warthog proved that effectiveness is not about the price of the plane's stealth coating, but rather the ability to go down into hell, take a beating, bring the pilot back alive, and destroy the enemy. And with all this combat post-mortem and the behind-the-scenes war in Washington to save the Warthog, I have a surgical question for you to separate the real analysts from the spectators who only consume the chewed-up narrative of the mainstream media. Do you believe that the survival of the A-10 until 2030 is due to autonomous technology using the jet as a laboratory for the drones of the future? Or was this law purely a strategic move because the West realized it doesn't have enough manned firepower to face a real war if it gives up heavy steel? I want to see your technical opinion here in the comments. If you see the advancement of robot engineering, write the word technology. But if you realize that the Pentagon acted out of desperation to keep heavy lead protecting the soldier in the mud, comment the word strategy. Leave your response down below. But the truth is, my friends, you can't depend on traditional channels or the mainstream media which follow the system's playbook to understand real geopolitics. The transformation of defense is changing the planet in a definitive way. And if you want access to command-level depth without censorship, without filters, and without that playbook of lies fabricated by newsroom armchairs, you need to be part of our bunker. Click right now on the link pinned in the first comment and in the description of this video to get to know our exclusive strategic intelligence platform, which is our private channel focused on pure geopolitics. Inside, you join more than 3,000 elite analysts who understand that information free from state manipulation has a cost and have decided to support independent truth here on YouTube. Yeah, my friends, it's totally free from censorship where the higher-ups can't reach us with their decisions. We're on rented ground. So I hope to see you there to become another elite analyst, and I have some big news. I, Shimon Oliveira, together with my friend from the Viva Israel channel, Davi Almeskani, have created our newest elite channel. Yes, do you want to be part of the elite that analyzes the map before the crowd? Yeah, you're going to subscribe to our new channel now, which is called Ponto de Ruptura. The card is appearing on the screen right now. Link in the description and in the first pinned comment. Guys, we have work to do and I need your help. Yes, we're going to reach 100,000 subscribers in 30 days, 100,000 in 30 days, and you're going to be there with me. Now, if you're tired of spending an hour on Netflix or Amazon trying to find a movie or a decent series to watch, well, I've solved your problem. We have our own channel for series and movies with amazing recommendations on what to watch. So don't waste any more time, it's already filtered, guys. No woke stuff or unnecessary drama, just enjoy. Link in the description and in the first pinned comment. And right here, look in the card that appears on your screen, including recommendations for series that put into context what's happening in the world today. War in the Middle East, espionage, and the backlash against woke culture over in Hollywood. So go check out our podcast over there. Look, now we've reached the best part of our chat. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and like the video. Blend your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you next time. Until then,